Good afternoon, everybody. I am super lucky today. I have all these wonderful guests, but first, let me introduce myself. I am Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats, and these are live videos I've been doing for almost a year now to help parents survive the pandemic, keep their kids learning, stay sane, find ways to keep learning at home. And today we're featuring the National Parents Union, and I'm so lucky today. We have the founding president, Keri Rodrigues, who's joining us from snowy Boston, Massachusetts. We also have Wendy, who's she's been a guest blogger on our site before. So Wendy is based out of Houston, and she's a Texas delegate to National Parents Union. And we also have Shay Mackin, who's joining us from Austin, and she is also a Texas delegate for National Parents Union. So right now we're going to kind of go around the Brady Bunch squares here and have everybody kind of introduce themselves a little bit. So let me hand it off to Keri.
So hi, I'm Keri. I am the president of the National Parents Union, which sounds fancy, but I'm actually just Matthew Miles David's mom and Max and Dylan's bonus mom, which is how I got involved in all of this. And so that's the most important thing I do. That's why I do this work and why it's my pleasure to be able to connect with other moms and other dads and other aunties and abuelitas and everybody else across the country, so we can build a movement that puts kids first. So I'm so excited to be here. I love charter moms, but I especially love San Antonio charter moms. So super excited that I get to share this space with you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let me hand it off to Wendy, who is also, we know her as My Child, My Voice, right?
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here, being a native Texan, and as well as, like Keri had mentioned, it started as being a mom first. I'm a mom of 4 kids, Ashley, Joey, Josh, Marissa, and grandmother to 2 beautiful grandkids, Olivia and Phoenix. And also, I am the founder and executive director for My Child, My Voice, as Inga mentioned, here in Houston, Texas, and as well as being a proud Texas delegate for the National Parents Union and trying to do the best we can to get more parents involved in this movement.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. And so I want you to introduce yourself a little bit. And when Shay is not in front of a computer, she might very well be out in the woods somewhere, right?
That's true. Yes, that sounds very strange, Inga, but I will explain. So, I am Shay Mackin. I am a mom to 4 boys, but really 3 men and 1 little boy. So my oldest 3 are now adults, and then I still have 1 caboose surprise little boy. He was a surprise. We thought we were done. But, I have been advocating for my own kids and for other people's kids for like 16 years now, because they're adults. But really, it was me trying to figure out how to advocate for my own kids is how that started, and then finding out how to help other parents, understanding that I didn't really know a lot when I started advocating, and really helping my kids partner with their teachers and all those things, and started working with other parents in that manner. But the woods reference is I also am a program ranger for the Boy Scouts of America. And so pretty much every weekend I am out in the woods helping kids and families connect with nature and learning awesome skills. So
awesome. Okay. So I'm going to ask Keri a question. So Keri, you talked about being Matthew, Miles, and David's mom, and I was wondering how that led you into being a parent advocate. And I've heard you speak. I heard you speak at the National Charter School Conference, and I was about ready to cry. So this is a really deep story, but please give us a taste of the story, and then we can talk about how that led to National Parents Union.
Yeah, I don't think my story is any different from a lot of mamas that come into advocacy. And frankly, when you're the mama of a child with special needs, you have to automatically become an advocate, because nobody hands you an instruction manual. Just like if your child is neurotypical, it just gets a little bit more complicated when you have to navigate some different waters, and you've got to learn a whole new language. So for me, I I was coming from a place where I was a union organizer and an advocate. I was the chair of the Democratic City Committee in my city. I'm on the Democratic State Committee, the National Committee. Like, I know how to organize. I know how to advocate. I know how to stand up for people. So when my oldest son was diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and he had sensory processing issues, like, we jumped on it. Like, I was all over it from 18 months old, early intervention, the whole thing. Like, I was ready. Like, this kid may learn differently, but man, like, he was going to have a mama ready to go. But then, reality happens, and all of these dreams that you have, that, okay, I'm going to fight to get my kid what he needs, they all kind of crumbled away. And I think some of my passion and my fear came from my own personal experience. I was expelled from public school, and I was, I had grown up in a house that was very dysfunctional. I was in the foster care system. My mother was struggling with addiction, so I just like every mom, I just wanted better for my child, and I just wanted to, like, do everything I could to make things easier on him. And then all of a sudden, I find myself sitting at the end of an IEP table, and my son had been getting suspended in kindergarten for doing things like not sitting at the rug at rug time, or getting up and using the musical instruments because he was very impulsive. He was a kid with autism and ADHD, but he had a first-year temporary kindergarten teacher who was overwhelmed and had 25 kids in the class, and would send him to the redirect room, which was a room that was like a cinder block cell. And it got to the point where I'm sitting at the end of this table. My son had been suspended 36 times. And I was like, this cannot be it. This cannot be it. And when you're sitting at the end of that IEP table, and you start to recognize that, like, the educators who are around that table at 6 years old had already given up on my son, I was crushed. I was absolutely crushed. And my heart was breaking. But we don't have the luxury of giving up as mamas. We got to step up. We got to do what we can. We can't just say, well, there's nothing I can do. I guess this is it. I knew that there was more, and I wanted to step up and fight for my son. So I also recognized a lot of the privilege I have. I speak perfect English, and I'm starting to look around my own community and understand why it was so difficult for them to stand up and advocate for their kids. I mean, my mother-in-law is undocumented, doesn't speak any English. My, members of my family don't speak English, are not in positions where they feel like they are empowered to speak truth to power. And so I started saying, if I'm having trouble as a person who professionally helps other people to advocate, holy crap, like, other mamas have to be struggling. And so we were just really simple. I mean, I just started talking to other mamas. We met at libraries and at Dunkin' Donuts, which is, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a double D up here. It's crazy. So we just met, and we said, like, oh my gosh, like, what's happening here? And so that was kind of my path. And so it's not like I'm not anything special, frankly, because, like, I know moms, thousands of them now across the country. What I want to do is just never forget that feeling of loneliness and isolation, because, that is what inspired my heart. It was fear, but it was a deep love and a hope that we could change things if we worked together.
Yeah, Keri, thank you so much for sharing your story. I've got some stories about when my son was in kindergarten too, and and when you find out that the adults have low expectations for a child, it's like, what's wrong with this system? And this has to change, and not just for me, it has to change for all the families. And so I think to some extent, I mean, the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group, we're over 7,000 strong, and a lot of us are. I'm sure your story resonates with a lot of us. So thank you. So I want to, you say that you're nothing special. We think you're pretty special. But I want to give a reflection, like ask Wendy. Okay, so in the blog post that we link in the description of the video. So if you're coming across the video, please click through and read the blog post, because it's got Q&As with these wonderful ladies. Wendy, talk about how you met Keri. It was in Houston, right? It was in 2019. Is it okay?
Yeah.
So
that was back in 2019. I can't believe that was 2019, Keri. I actually believe that God puts people in our path for a reason. And I believe Keri was put in my path. You know, she is who we call our mom in chief. She came to Houston while we were celebrating the Save Our Charter School rally back in September of 2019. And there we were rallying up, you know, charter parents coming in to save our charter schools because we want to have all kinds of options here in Houston, and charters is one of them. And to be honest, I never knew about Keri. I never heard of her. I didn't know what she was doing. And, you know, she came on our stage, you know, this fired up, sassy, short mama. I'm going to say it, Keri. I'm going to say it because you were. And you came on the stage and you just told your story. You told the ugly truth. You were sitting there telling us that we needed to do something. You were sitting, and everybody next to me, and I have parents side by side next to me. It's like, are you hearing this? Our stories are similar, but she's up on the stage, you know, with no problem, you know, sharing it and, you know, getting us to tell us we need to do something. Right. And I was like, wow. You know, she fired up all of us, you know, in the audience.
And tell you, like, the reason I was there is because Howard Fuller called me up. And when Howard Fuller calls you up on the phone and says,
"You go,
I need you to meet someplace," I was like, all right, I'm there. And I flew down to Houston. I didn't know where I was going. He just told me, you need to be at this park. So I was like, all right. So I hopped on a plane and Googled the park, like right over the night before. And like I called an Uber because I was like, okay, I have no idea I don't know where I'm going. Howard Fuller told me to be at this park at this time.
Be at McGregor Park. We need to be right there. You know, where does it?
So then they dropped me off at this park, and I'm like, and they're like, lady, are you sure? Because there is no one at this park. And so, but the rally was at the other side. So I'm like, no. Howard Fuller told me to be at this park. I'm going to be at this park. So I was like, no, just leave me. I don't care. They're like, you don't know where you are or what you, I'm like, don't worry about me. Howard Fuller has me. Okay. So I get out of the car and I just walk around and I start looking for people until things started to look friendly. I started like, all right, listen, I don't care. I'm like, 3,000 miles from home, Howard Fuller tells you to show up. You show up. That's it. That's it.
That's so true because he did the same thing to me. He was like, when I first met him, I was in awe. Like, you know, I met Cherie Madlock. She's, you know, part of the Texas Public Charter School Association. She goes, I have someone to meet. They're bringing in a route, you know, somebody, a coalition to save our charters. I'm like, sure, I'll go and talk to him. And next thing you know, Howard Fuller's in front of me. And I'm like, you know, and he's looking at me and he goes, do you want to introduce yourself? I was like, I'm in awe right now. And he's laughing at me, you know, and then he's like, I want you to be at the rally. Can you bring parents? I was like, you don't have to ask me twice. We're there, you know. And that was the whole thing. We rallied up.
Yes, and I will be there. That's it. Yes,
sir. We were just so pumped up. And then to be honest with that park, probably the taxi driver, the Uber driver was probably going, really? This park, this is really not a good park. You really want to go here?
They were like, are you sure, lady? You're from where and you want us to drop you off? I'm like, listen, I'm fine. Okay. Don't let the Kate Spade fool you. Howard Fuller told me to be at this park. I'm at this park. Bye.
And then one of the things is, you know, at the end of all of it, it's like, I have to meet you. You know, it's like, I got to meet this lady. You know, I got to meet this lady. I go up to her and she's like, hey, you know, I've been hearing about the work you've been doing. And I'm sitting there going, are you me? Really? You know, and then she goes, yes, I've been hearing about the work you've been doing. And I told her how we had similar stories and how the families around me are saying the same thing, you know. And she's like, mamas like me and you need to tell stories. They're very similar. And we need to band together to have our voices heard, you know, to get louder. And we need to make some action happen, you know. And I was like, I'm there. Where do I sign up? You know, and she's laughing at me because she hadn't even told me about National Parents Union. She's just laughing because I'm just saying this stuff. But that's how powerful Keri is, you know, when she speaks, you know, I had to say. It was just awesome meeting you. And my families, all the families there were so excited because you made us feel that we're not alone. We realized that we had similar stories and we have to stand up and fight for our kids.
And that's really the theme of what we do. Mm-hmm. Because what I was going through in Massachusetts, like, I knew that there were other people across the country that were going through the same thing. I started this work with my sister, Alma Marquez, who ran La Comadre, and we connected because she was in Los Angeles, and we spoke the same language and had the same struggle and went through the same story. And we were like literally opposite ends of the country. And so we knew, like, and I had these beautiful conversations with people across the country. Like, the stories are the same. The injustice is the same no matter where you go. The lack of respect for parents and families and voices and all of this, it's the same. So if it's the same everywhere, there's a reason why they're keeping us down. They know that we're powerful. And if we come together, I know how solidarity works, and we could do something big, but we've got to be intentional and strategic about coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. You guys, like, it's like you're reading my notes. Okay. Cause like the next thing I wanted to ask Keri about was like sort of how National Parents Union was created. And then after that, I'm going to ask Wendy to tell stories about what it was like at the convening, which was about a year ago, right? It was a year ago, January, right? Okay. So yeah. So Keri, tell us about like, right, these like parents have stories, right? But we need a National Parents Union, right?
Well, the thing is that there are these beautiful pockets of parent power all across the country. Like San Antonio Charter Moms, y'all are a beautiful pocket of parent power. You were one of the people we reached out to. But just think about how many other pockets there are across the nation. And frankly, while I was building Massachusetts Parents United, I was hearing from a lot of other folks saying, oh, we heard what you did. Could you help us? Or we're trying to figure this out. And could you just tell us what we could do? Or how did you figure that out? And here in Massachusetts, what we did was, you know, I'm, again, a former union organizer. I didn't do anything, again, that was magical. I just had mamas talking to other mamas. When we work in the union world, the most effective organizer is somebody who speaks your own language. So like if I was working in healthcare, for instance, and if I wanted to organize a group of phlebotomists who take your blood, I would send a phlebotomist in to say, oh, because we speak the same language, right? Same thing with mamas. Like, there is a sacred bond between us that transcends, you know, any kind of geographic demographic, any kind of, you know, other kind of demographic, your ethnicity, your race, your social, because like, we've all had a baby who's had a blowout, right? And had to deal with it, right? Have we? Come on now. We've all stayed up all night. We've all had to clean up sheets that were puked on. We all had to deal with feeling nervous about whether or not our kids were reaching the right benchmarks and we're on the right, like that fear and that deep love is a special language. So we all speak it. And this language of injustice and seeing how the system doesn't work for our kids, like that is a space where we can have a conversation that's unique. So that's all we were doing, is saying, hey, we figured out something here in Massachusetts where mamas in our city could talk to each other. Then we set up 17 chapters in Massachusetts. So now we're the largest parent advocacy organization here in the Commonwealth. And we're not pledging allegiance to any particular governance model. We're district parents, we're charter parents, we're homeschool parents, we're pilot parents, we're Catholic school parents, we're, you know, whatever kind of parent you are. I don't think people like identify like I'm a charter parent necessarily. We're just parents. We're trying to say like we're best positioned and know what's right for our kids, and we want all the options on the table. I'm a district parent. My kids go to district schools. Why? Because here in Massachusetts, I can't get them in a charter school. Like, we're maxed out. There's waiting lists, like 40,000 kids on waiting lists here in Massachusetts. I can't be a charter mom, not because I have that. I can't get my kids in a damn charter school. So, you know, again, like we speak that voice, but we also have this commonality with all of these other pockets of parent power. Not everything we do in Massachusetts is not going to work the same way in Texas. It's not going to work in every context. But you know what? If I see you as a mama organizing, we have that commonality, and I can still show up for you, and I can tell you what worked for me, and I can give you some of my resources. And the only thing that we ask for is solidarity. And that's what people don't understand. Well, what are you getting from this? We are building a beautiful movement of powerful parents, and we're showing up for each other, whether it's on a Zoom march to the Detroit Public Schools Board of Directors. Like we showed up for Bernita, and you know what Bernita got? she got a letter of apology for disrespecting parents in her community. Because you know what? Parents across from Massachusetts to California showed up and said, I'm sorry, you said what? To these Detroit parents? You're not going to do that. So that is the power of that solidarity. And so how we're building this beautiful movement is by identifying parents who are doing this work on the ground and saying, we're here for you. Like, this is your tribe. We understand you and speak your language. We want to share resources with you. The only thing that we're asking you for is to help us speak with a united national voice. And that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask Wendy about who went to the convening. Shay, did you go to the convening? Okay. So I'll just ask. So Wendy, this is part of the blog post too. Like, what were your impressions from the convening, and how did that like launch National Parents Union?
Well, I mean, to be asked by Keri, I mean, after I met her at the rally, I was like, I am definitely going to this convening. I was like, hell yeah, that's me. I'm going, but I had no idea what to expect. This was in New Orleans, and, banding together, I was realizing that I was meeting parents from all over, from Puerto Rico to Arkansas. I mean, everywhere, New York. And I was just like, wow. And they're doing the same similar work that I'm doing here in Houston. And we were coming together. I can't believe, Keri was saying, she was banding us together and saying, this is what we're doing. It was a 4-day informative, powerful convening I've ever been to. I mean, this is where we learned our civil rights disobedience training. We even got to listen to 8 Black Hands podcast to be even part of that, and then to be, to do what they call the war room tactics. And I'm like, wow, this is for real. They're teaching us how to do this, what we've been doing here, but on a higher level. Hey, if you need help here, this is what you're doing, how to tell your story, how to do, protests. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I was blown away at this convening, and then especially having, motivated keynote speakers like Gwen Samuels. I mean, Gwen Samuels was awesome. And then Elashi Shabazz, it's like, wow, to finally at the end where, because it was a 4-day, and the first day we got our NPU shirts, I'm proud, loud and proud to wear my NPU shirts. We literally had a, what they call death of the status quo, which I loved this, saying, where we did a march in the French quarters, shouting and saying that what we need, it's like saying these things like here that we say it on here, Latino kids deserve education, not incarceration, shouting out that we want more options, shouting out that we are not going to step down. We are shouting out in French quarters. And what's so awesome there is people were asking, who are you? Why are you doing this? Why are you putting this? Why are you wearing these shirts? Who is National Parents Union? Can I join? And that's what that all was about in the convening, to where strangers winded up becoming friends and allies. To this day, we are now.
And I think what was really important about that moment is that we put power back in the hands of the parents. Like, we didn't I didn't come in and install myself as queen. I said, here's the idea. Do we want to do this? We had a vote. Like, people could have said no. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you want to join? Is this the right idea? Like, we blew up the whole thing. Like we had created some things on paper, and we dissected every single word and had parents challenge it, and we workshopped it, and it was so that they owned it. Because it was just well, here's the basic idea. You make it your own. And then at the end, we're going to vote and decide if we even want to do the damn thing. So they voted on that. And then I said, I'd like to be the president. I'd like to be your ambassador. This is what I want to do. But I have to have your support. You got to elect me, because I want to know that we're taking this in the right direction. But
that's when he became president. I mean, this is where we voted. So it's like there was no doubt about it. We're going to vote you president. And then for you to get us involved in the belief and values.
But the most thing I gotta say, Inga, the thing that was different about our convening and makes this movement very different is that it is for parents, it is created by parents, it is run by parents. And so I gotta say, sometimes you show up at these education convenings as a parent advocate, And they love to have you on your panel. You know, they love to come through tell us your story. Tell us your story so we can feel so bad for you. Oh, no, we don't need you in the policy conversation. We don't want to hear you. We don't want to hear you come up with the solutions with us. We just want to hear your story so we feel bad, and then the grown-ups are going to go discuss what we're going to do to you. Like it's not that type of party here. Like we are here creating our own leadership, creating our own movement. We write our own legislation, for crying out loud. Like that's what we are doing. But the thing that broke my heart in that convening is that we had parents that had never stayed in a hotel before. Like people who lead movements in their communities that had never been treated well. They were shocked. Like we left them little gift bags in their rooms, and they were shocked. They were like, "Why did you give me this?"
Like,
they were shocked that we had we were really very intentional. Like we wanted to honor the service of these people leading these organizations, 150 different organizations showing up there to create this. And like it broke my heart when they were surprised to be treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve. And that is part of what we're changing too, because these parents, they do some of the most powerful work. Advocacy, when parents show up and they fight for their kids, that is where change happens. It's not these folks bringing out the book reports. It's the warriors in the streets that hold elected officials accountable and make things happen. But their labor is not respected. Their work is not respected. And that is something else that we're changing with this movement.
Yeah. Wow. I'm getting chills. No, seriously. There have been times when, you know, like I feel like I couldn't get a seat at the table. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and big decisions were being made that were going to have a bad impact on parents, and nobody cared. And that made me mad, and it made me want to organize and get more parents on board. And then that's where that solidarity comes in that you talk about. Like that's what we're asking from parents, is like, we can make change if we work together, but we need solidarity. So, okay, but I want to send it over to Shay, the next question, which is, give us a peek about what's happening in Texas. So Wendy and Shay are both Texas delegates to National Parents Union. And I know there's some, I linked in the blog post to a sort of Texas legislature update, and there's more stuff where members can learn more about what's happening in the legislative session.
Absolutely. So yeah, it just like nationally and in other places in the country, we are reaching, families and organizations that are in solidarity with us. The movement of the heart. That is 100% what we're doing, is the movement of the heart and the parents. With diverse voices, they're not all going to look like Wendy. They're not all going to look like me, because but all of our hearts look the same. And so if you've got a beating heart and you love a kid, become part of the National Parents Union. What we're doing is giving you the tools that you need, resources that you need, and a voice for change for our babies, so that we can make a change in the state, in every, big town in Houston to little tiny Smithville, so that every parent is heard, from the IEP to the state house. And becoming a member of the National Parents Union is free. Awesome, right? Pretty awesome. And you get amazing resources. We have Texas legislative updates every month. We partner with Wendy's show, My Child, My Voice, on the Facebook page. So check out My Child, My Voice and National Parents Union Facebook page. We have, at the last Thursday of every month during this legislative session, we will be having a legislative update on what you can literally do. Pick up the phone and call for bills that may negatively or positively affect your kid, right? Because we need to have those calls too, that if it's going to be helping your kid. We also have a Texas regional Facebook group for our members. So if you're a Texas member, we have a Facebook group just for you, to make sure you know of not just the bills that are happening, but really tools that you have access to, right? Wendy and I were one of the first groups to let the parents know of the supplemental services education services back in November. I see everybody talking about it now. We talked about it back in November to prepare parents so they knew what was coming in January. So we have our ear to the ground, trying to make sure parents have a leg up in knowing what's going on. We know that parents are concerned about the STAR test being face-to-face. And we are working with organizations in making their voice heard in that aspect. We also are looking at quarterly town halls just for our region and what concerns you here in Texas. So not everything's national, but we have amazing tools, amazing people that are bringing and lifting up the parents and not just giving you a tool to hold a rally, which is super important, so that because we're not trained in how to do that. When you give birth to a baby, they don't tell you how to run a rally. It's right. But
that's going on a t-shirt.
Do we have that on that shirt?
We know from polling that we are worried about the COVID slide and we need to hold our schools in Texas accountable this fall for how parents can partner with our teachers to get our kids back to where the heck they need to be, right? And beyond.
Yeah, Shay, I got to jump in because it's really important that this work actually happens in Texas and that the connection is here to the National Parents Union, because what we do is just provide the bridge to the federal conversation. So you hear a lot of folks talking about a $2 trillion education or a $2 trillion COVID funding package that's coming down. There's a lot of money for education in there. Well, you got to get your ass in now so that those folks on the federal level can make sure that that money isn't just a blank check that's sent to Texas so that everybody can grab at it and then suddenly it doesn't actually get down to your kids in the classroom. If we're not in the conversation on the national level, then once that money gets to Texas, it's already gone. You know how this stuff works. It's already gone. Oh, sorry, we can't do that. Oh, isn't it adorable that the little parents want to have some say? Nope. If you think we're cute, we're about to get real adorable on the federal level because we are channeling people right into that conversation. We want mamas in Texas to go right into their senator's office, well, Zoom-wise, and be able to have that conversation and say, oh, well, let us tell you how you're going to put very specific regulations around how that COVID money is going to be used and what our expectations are. And one of the things that we were doing right now, having a conversation around acceleration academies. So this morning, we're on NPR talking about acceleration academies. How can we get more money down to the states in places specifically like Texas so that if we can get kids caught up by investing this money the right way, and Shay and Wendy and their parents on the ground are going to know how that happens. That's how that funding is actually going to hit our kids where we need it most. But if we're not, having that two-way conversation, it's not going to happen.
Right. And so really, and not that we're trying to, sell National Parents Union. This is a gift. That is what I found. National Parents Union is a gift to you as a mom and as a dad and as a grandma. This is not something we're trying to force on you. This is something that when you open that window for that blessing, you will be overwhelmed at the flood that comes into your home. And the tools and the understanding that then you can go forward and make it work for your individual family. Amen. I'll just keep preaching.
I gotta say, when we hear from individual parents across the country, because sometimes we just get Facebook messages, or we get people who email us, or call us, or whatever it is. There's just such a relief that you're not crazy. Just when you find out, you've been thinking all this stuff in your head as a mama, what is wrong with this? And why aren't they paying attention to us? And why don't they listen to families? And why are they spending money on that? Or why do they care about that? That's not going to help our kids. And then you find your tribe. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of people. And honestly, we reach about 15 million families. So there's literally millions of other people saying, no, girl, you're not crazy. We're all with you. The sense of relief that you're not insane, I mean, that's a value.
Yeah. The fellowship, the training. Okay, so I've been popping up the link to the website, so nationalparentsunion.org, and that's where, and it's free, so families can go there. They can apply for membership. It's easy, it's quick. And then I was popping up Shay's email address because she said I could share it, and so for Texas listeners, if you have questions like these upcoming events or about membership and stuff, which it's free, so really it's kind of a no-brainer, so just do it. But she can answer your questions about membership.
Yes, absolutely. Please do send me an email and figure out how we can work together. I've said all along, even before I was, part of the Texas delegation, I was working with Wendy. I was working with other delegates from NPU, and I feel like it's the thread to a quilt. It really is. NPU helps bring together these, and it's not like a designed quilt that's all pretty. We're a patchwork quilt. We all
crazy quilt.
You got the corduroy and the silk and the all the parts, and it's not just parents but also organizations. We have amazing organizations that are part of NPU that we can stitch you together with and help bring you some amazing resources for now, for help today during this pandemic while you're trying to figure out how to school because it's not working. It's amazing.
That's so true what you're saying there too.
Now, I was just going to say one of the things that we did, and there were actually recipients right in San Antonio, was the funding of our pots. And we actually gave away almost $1 million. It's crazy, isn't it? Isn't that crazy? Like we gave away $1 million. Like, whoa, I never thought that sentence would come out of my mouth. Anyway, but what we did is we said to folks at the Bella group, we said, which is like a group of funders who came together and said, oh my gosh, we got to fix this. We got to do something right away. But, funders and the fancy folks in the foundation community, they're not close to the pain. They're not living the same lives as we do. Let's just say that. Okay. So they came to a group like us and said, listen, if we gave you some money, what do you think you could do with it? We knew instantly, like we could get it into the hands of families and people who are starting learning pods and pandemic pods, which isn't that a terrible name for something we've been doing it forever? Oh man, mama's coming together to help with babysitting. Oh man, that's a new concept. What? Anyway, we were able to get these resources, and instead of tying it up, we made it really quick, really simple. You could apply for up to $25,000 because we trust parents and we know that parents have the solutions. And they've been able to do incredible work, including right in San Antonio, where we gave a $25,000 grant so that the folks that are closest to the pain could come up with their own solution. And they're doing beautiful work. So that's the other thing too, is like when we have resources, like we're not holding on to it, we're throwing them right down. We're trying to get them out to the people and down to the folks that could actually use it so that we can have some tangible, incredible outcomes for our kids.
Yeah, that's, I'm so glad, the blog post is great, but I feel like the video is even better for getting across this, like the spirit, this like can do, it's like right at ground level and like, it's not sitting on a shelf. It's like we're doing this work every day, right? We're moms. And
Inga, think about what you did. Like you're interviewing us, like you jumped into it the same way.
Yeah, you're a member.
Like you're a member.
I remember too. Yeah.
You're crying out loud. Like you're part of our clique because you are one of us. You do the same thing. When the pandemic happened, you weren't sitting there waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. That's not what mamas do. We say, oh gosh, trouble's coming. How are we going to help our kids? That's what you guys did. That's what everybody's doing. We just got to do it together.
Yeah, we rounded up like dozens of guest bloggers to talk about like, here's how you teach your kid to read. Here's how you practice math at home. Here's how you teach your kid cooking or budgeting, or, here's some workouts you could do at home, right? So all these resources and just, a grassroots effort. And because like there's a problem, it needs solving. And that's what moms are great at.
Well, Inga, you also did a great job too, because you also showed parents you were walking it because you were also going through that process with your kids. And you were actually saying that same thing. Hey, I know this is tough for me. And, I got a law degree. And that was one of the things you said in your video, And I love that because you were raw and you were truthful and you were trying to show them, I'm here with you. Let's do this together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember
that's what really shone a light. Like the thing is like, just because you're poor, you're black, you're brown, you're a mama, you don't have a fancy title or acronyms after your name. Like it doesn't mean you don't have eyeballs in your head. You can't see what's right in front of you. And it was plain as day when this pandemic hit. that our friends who are the experts running the systems, like they didn't have it. Like they got caught. Like, oh, we don't really know what to do. Because did you notice how the conversation changed? Like all of a sudden they were telling folks like us, like only you know what's right for your child. Only you can decide, what's the best option for your family. Well, we know that's always been true, right? Like that has always been true. But now they recognized it, and we could watch them scramble, and it was not pretty. It was pretty messy there. But again, we're moms. And what's the first thing you learn as a mama? Your babies need stability. They need a schedule. You need to be the calm, because kids do not work well under chaos, do they? Like, hell no, not in this house. Like with little boys here, I can tell you, they need stability. They need to know what's going to happen next, because all that anxiety, it's not good. Or we can't run a family like that. So we all had to step up in that moment and say, okay, if you guys don't have it, we've got to fill that gap. And Inga, you guys did it. Like you were closest to the pain, you knew what parents needed, so you stepped up and did it. And there are organizations like yours doing that across the country. We learn things from you, and hopefully you learn things from our organization too. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. It's the power of getting connected and having a bigger voice and be able to basically just flash mob any problem, right?
That's the thing. And when you're a mom in this space, and I got to tell you, and this organization is mostly run by women. God bless the daddies, and and we're about to have dad to dad, and just so I love my dads, but I got to tell you something. Women do this work from a different perspective, and that's why we're the background or the backbone and the organizers in we do this work. Not because we're trying to be, get the credit and be like the it person in the spirit. Like, who cares? Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, I'm here because I'm worried that my kids are going to fall through the cracks. Like, I do this with urgency because I got a lot of people I made in the world, and I don't trust the system to do right by them. So, like, I don't care about anything else. Like, and that's what makes our urgency, our focus. Like, why are you so focused? Well, because we have skin in the game, and moms, we step up, and we're not going to give up and be like, okay, I guess, we just can't do anything. Who does that? So who better than moms than to lead this movement? Come on now.
That's right. But you do need friends to tell you that you're not crazy, though. That helps.
That's why, it's funny because, we have a council meeting because, again, I was not installed as queen of this organization. I have a whole council. I need people like Wendy and Shay to come and tell me what to do. Is this a good idea? And is this crazy? And I want to do this. Is this okay? Like, that's what our meetings are about. It's a sacred space where, like, I'm not a perfect person. Nobody here is perfect. Like, that's why, like, don't put me up on a pedestal. I'm a mom. My kitchen's a mess right now. I have no idea. It's almost 6:00. I have no idea what I'm making for dinner tonight. It's gonna be real in here. I need other people, other moms to work with me, because together we can all figure this stuff out. But when we can admit that, and admit when we're struggling and that we're not perfect, or like our hearts are heavy, and share with each other, then, or ask for help, like, just admit that we're not perfect. Like, that's what we do in our meetings. And when something's going on in the world, or we've got a tough fight, or people aren't listening to us, we have this sacred council we can come to. And some people call it their church, a Thursday church, where they're like, one of our delegates is like, this is my church. This is where I get that replenishment. And there's something to be said about that too.
But Wendy wrote, she called it her familia in the pandemic. Yeah.
Hi, they were a lifesaver. I mean, when you're coming together and you're struggling because your kids are struggling, but you're also struggling, and it's good to have someone that's there to pick you up as well. Not to just, yes, we're going to focus on this with your kids, but I need some lifting up too. It was hard for everybody when the pandemic hit, and that's why I said I found my new familia. This is my familia here,
and that's so true. And I mean, like, back in September, my mom died very suddenly, like, just 67 years old, healthier than I was, just didn't wake up from a nap. And I didn't know what to do. And that changes your DNA. Like, if you've ever lost a parent, like, It's a life-changing event. And I had a whole group of people, my family, my National Parents Union family, that just wrapped their arms around me. Everybody had shared experience or had empathy and could step into the gap. And it's not exactly an education issue, but that's the kind of relationship building where people show up for you like that. I will show up for any of these people. You know, it doesn't have to be Howard Fuller anymore. If Wendy calls me up and tells me, "Girl, I need you in the backyard," I'm going on a plane. I'm fine. I'm going. You know, or Christina calls me and says, "San Diego needs you. We're having a breakfast meeting." I'm going, like, because they've shown up for me. I'm going to show up for them.
Yeah,
and it's so true. It's so true. It's so true. I have to say, I mean, because NPU is listening to parents because we are parents' voice. We are authentic. We tell the ugly truth. From Texas to Philly to New Jersey to Oklahoma, Arizona, California, Boston, Atlanta, Puerto Rico. We are everywhere. And when you call on us, we're going to help you. We're going to answer you and say, we got you. No matter if you need something personally or no matter if you need something for your kid. We're there for you.
In the lab, not said this is the footprint we're interested in having parents in. No, like we are the folks that show up for each other. These are the authentic places where parent power is happening and where the potential for parent power is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of an NPU newbie, but I'm super pumped. And like, I'm really excited about like the legislative updates that Shay's talking about. And I'm ready to find out, like, where can I go, like, Zoom bomb, somebody else's like school board meeting or something.
We want to do it. And you know what? And then the next thing the next thing you know, you're gonna wake up like Bernita Bradley this morning and find yourself, in the New York Times. Like, oh my God, people are listening to me. Like, I have that because that's where it starts. It starts in our neighborhoods, and then build and build and build together until like they're finally listening to the people they should be listening to. And that is the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I put out the call to Wendy and Shay, and they're like, can you get Keri? And then we can like round up a whole bunch more NPU members from San Antonio. And they're like, let's work on it. Let's get it on the calendar. And here we are. Right. And so I hope that a whole bunch of people read this blog post, watch this video, and go, it's free. I could use a pandemic familia. I want to be part of it. I want to, make some good trouble. And, and like Keri said, like if you're a mom who, cares about your kids, we all do. And we all have that worry, like, are we doing right by them? Right. And we need friends and allies to make it right for our kids and for all the kids.
Amen, sister.
Amen.
Okay, well, I know that Keri's got, let's see, well, she needs to get offline because of Dad to Dad is starting, right?
we have no dinner made. I'm hoping one of the stars of Dad to Dad has started dinner, because if not, it's going to be pizza night. Because, yeah. That might be a topic of Dad to Dad tonight. Stay tuned. National Parents Meeting coming up.
Okay, good deal. So let's go around one more time. Y'all can kind of sign off or like give parents some homework, ask them to do something. What should they do?
I'm going to tell everybody, like, again, I'm not the queen on high. If you need help, reach out to us. The way we're set up, just to make it real clear, like if you're watching this and you're not in San Antonio, maybe you are in San Antonio, we have delegates all across the country. And I'm so proud, incredibly proud, to work with Wendy and Shay, who are leading the work in Texas. And we have an incredible tapestry of parents from every single intersectionality. And that's the other thing I want to leave folks with, because one of the barriers to being able to effectively advocate is sometimes we feel a little intimidated. You don't have to here. The National Parents Union, we've got seats for everybody. If you're poor, you're Black, you're brown, you're LGBTQAI, you don't see a lot of parent advocates, coming from that perspective. You're a foster parent, you're a grandparent, you're a parent in recovery, you're a parent who has been formerly incarcerated. We don't care where you come from, who you are. You can find family here, and we're here to help. You don't have to do this alone. And that's really the core purpose of our work. We don't want to have any parent sitting at the end of an IEP table, devastated, saying, oh my God, I'm powerless. You're not powerless. You've been made to feel powerless. You are powerful, and it's time to step into it.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Wendy, and then Shay. Okay.
I was going to say, parents, don't be silent. Speak up. Be active in these education conversations. We welcome it. We welcome you to our familia. You're not alone. We show that to you. We provide you everything you need. And even if it's something that I just need to talk because I'm having a bad day, we're there for you because we got you. So please join us. Be involved in this movement.
Yes. I think I was thinking about how every mom, every dad, every grandma has sat and closed the door to the closet or sat in the shower just bawling with their heart broken. Every single one of us for our kids.
Yeah.
And whatever that situation is. That is why National Parents Union was started. And that is our goal, it is the work of the heart. So we've got you. You are not alone. You can pick up the phone. You can come to a training and get those aha moments. You can go to all of our very inspirational meetings where you go, okay. I might still cry in the shower, but I'm okay. Like,
I may need a face mask, but I'm okay.
And that's just it, is that just like when you were saying, we've got you. We've got you. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you have a kiddo that you love, join in.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I could talk all night, but we're going to end on that note because that's just a beautiful message. So parents, caregivers, join National Parents Union, get in on these resources and this fellowship, and let's go make some trouble.
All right.
Thanks, y'all. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck with dinner, Keri.
Yes.
I need it.
If we need to send you dinner, we can send you dinner.
Worst mother ever.
We're having tacos.
No, that's all right.